What's poppin', everybody? Another live stream using outlier.bet today. An amazing all-in-one tool, player prop research, arbitrage plus EV. We have two Monday night football games today, which is always, amazing. We have a game starting at 7 p.m. ET, another game starting at 10 o'clock tonight. So it's going to be a late one for everybody who needs to stay up for these two games. We got a little West Coast action, Chargers and Raiders. You have Buccaneers, Texans. So two fun ones, honestly. We're going to find some plus EV bets using Outlier. I have my filters set up. I have some plays that I already bet earlier in the week, and we're going to go through all of the parlay boosts that we have on FanDuel as well as DraftKings to make sure that we're maximizing those with some plus EV stuff utilizing Outlier. So give me one quick second here to get a promotion out for the stream so we can maximize viewership for the boys. Chat's always open, so if you guys have any questions on any specific player you want to see, of course, we're going to go through all of these games holistically, showcase some of the stuff that Outlier has to help you guys become winning better, and we're going to find some great stuff for this one. We had a great stream last Monday with Ty. He's going to hop in if he is available a little bit later today. Hopefully, he is. Of course, the normally streaming at 7, but because of the game timing, stream a little bit earlier. But we cooked with Outlier on Monday. Yesterday's stream hit some nice slips that we hit, but overall was a little bit of a downer. Some of the straight bets didn't cash. We did hit a nice parlay, a nice first touchdown as well. So we're going to be talking about anything and everything for this game, and we're going to find some great bets. So first of all, Buccaneers, Texans. We're going to go game by game. We're going to do probably a leg combining both. I have I forgot to use my DK 30% boost on a 4-legger yesterday, but that's a good thing because I could just use it tonight. So I have two parlay boosts for the Monday night games on DK, and on FanDuel we just have a only one 30% profit boost. Is that parlay only? Let's check out. No, any wager. So that could be a straight bet. So we'll see where we find some value. We're going to bet some first tutties anytime against some parlays. We're going to have a really nice slate. But Buccaneers, Texans. Okay. A lot of the data from this year, of course, it's tough. We have the Texans who lost to LA, who looks like a really good team. Their defense is legit, and this O-line is bad. And the Buccaneers who squeaked past the Falcons in week 1. Looking at the market here, you have a best price over at Novig, but we can go and look at how the odds have moved for Tampa Bay. Opened up, as you see here with Outlier, at plus. Well, we're going to go back a ways because this is like some look-ahead stuff. So really like pre-opening for the week, plus 135. So has been kind of sitting in a similar space, not a lot of motion overall. If we're talking about from when they opened from the look-ahead line, of course, there's a ton of motion from the look-aheads, but that's always expected. Those are very low-limit games there. And if you look at the Texans side, which was showing some expected value to Profit X there, this is how that market has moved. But let's do some show more because I think this was a game that was expected to be a little sharper side on Houston. Now, I forgot who tweeted that out. It was one of those accounts that are actually like good for that. Some of those accounts are nonsense, but it was a good one. Let's look at some props in this one. Let's go to the games. We'll find some EV, of course, with the filters that we have going for game lines and player props. But let's go game by game here. We have an hour. This is, of course, game 1. We have some boosts to use. My only straight bet that I have so far placed is actually on the other game, so we can get to that in a second. What am I looking for here? Games. Buccaneers at Texans. So I'm going to stick to kind of some of the major markets that we want to deal with here, like first touchdown. It's only showing odds for Bucky, so maybe not. But we'll stick to, like, again, the passing yards, receiving yards, rush attempts, some of the good stuff there. So actually, I say that as I click these markets because I really do actually like those markets, but they're not showing a bunch. So I'll do those manually. I'll pull up FanDuel on another tab there so we can look at. But let's go receiving yards. Receiving TDs now. Receiving yards, receptions, rush yards, of course. If they have sacks data, I'm all for sacks. I know it's a lot more prevalent in the markets these days. Of course, anytime tutties, passing yards I missed, passing touchdowns. So that'll keep us pretty locked in. Of course, we'll go and hone in on players directly. Texans first half -1.5. What price did you get there? Very curious. I'm going to only show overs for now. Of course, we will bet some unders if we like the unders, but just for the ease of the overview of or for the platform here. But we'll start with Mike Evans. This is going to be a game where I do think that this is going to be a tough one for both O's. Plus 105. Love that. That definitely seems like a good price. We'll go into some EV stuff shortly to confirm some of that. But I do want to talk holistically about some stuff here. We know that Emeka Ibuka had 2 touchdown catches in that first game. Of course, Mike Evans is on his path for another 1K yardage. But let's see. So some of the data still overall here. This is from this year, which is perfect, which is great. This is what I was looking for here. Mike Evans with 8 targets in that first game, 6 for Sterling and Emeka Egbuka, respectively. Bucky with 4. So Mike, of course, leading the target share. But this Houston Texans defense is still going to be very good. Let's see the injury report as well. This is important here. No Tez Johnson, no Godwin, no Wirfs, as we know. Autry out, Tank Dell. But it looks like the secondary is going to be solid still from an injury perspective for the Texans. Now, we know the Texans, again, have a really good defense. The Bucs have a pretty solid defense, and this Texans O-line is absolutely decimated. I don't really think – I think Tampa Bay is obviously a good team. I'm a little bit confused on this spread. I'm going to go back to the game really quickly here, just because we're sitting 2.5. This was a 3. It'd be an easy click. I know it was a 3 earlier in the week. 42.5 on unders totals there. But let's go back and dive a little bit more into some of the rush share stuff, because I expected to see a little bit more of a split backfield for the Buccaneers. But no Sean Tucker, no Rachaad White, only 2 and 1 rush attempts respectively. Baker, we know, is always a danger to run out of the pocket. He loves to go out there and do Baker things there. But Bucky Irving, 14 of rush attempts. He is that guy, as he was kind of projected to be from the fantasy community as well. But it's showcasing in week 1 where maybe there were some people pumping some brakes on him, but it doesn't seem to be the case here. Let's look at the targets for Bucky. He did have 4 targets. Let's see what his receiving prop were there. Grabbed Chubb, 13.5 carries. Nick Chubb as, of course, running back 1. I actually think that's a good look here at 13.5. I'm going to actually pull up the EV and see what we get from a prop perspective. And we can actually go from there. So I have created a bunch of filters, or 2 for the NFL. Of course, I can make my own MLB. We're doing some NFL streams. 1 for game lines, 1 for player props here. Let's see if we find anything from the EV filter. Now, we're close to game time. So we have Geno Smith anytime. That's not something I'm looking to bet, unfortunately, though. That is a good price. I wonder how much Novik has in liquidity there. Deep linking feature of Outlier is also amazing, because in 1 click, I can pull up Novik and get started. If you guys are not betting using Novik just yet, or trading, I should say, use promo code BetSmart and get a $25 purchase match. Best prices always. Here's the liquidity as well, as you can see over here on the right. A lot of money on the under for Geno, which makes sense. But it's a pretty solid liquidity for that over if you're interested in a QB sneak possibility for Geno, and showing EV to the rest of the market. I'm intrigued by Genty. Now let's look at some of the stuff from Kelly. So we have a quarter Kelly here. We have a fair value with worst case scenario plus 906. So there actually is some value, especially deviating to Penny here. Let's keep looking. Najee Harris. So Hampton, of course, was the guy here. We have Profit X with the best number at plus 320. Fair value to Kelly, to Penny, 251. Stroud rushing yards was over 12.5. I like that, because I think the Texans I'd say Tampa Bay is definitely going to get some pressure on this defensive line, or this offensive line, excuse me, for the Texans, and Stroud has shown a propensity to run a little bit. Genty receiving yards. Well, we have a Ladd touchdown with EV. If ever there's a Ladd tutty with EV, I'm intrigued here. I know we're going to be switching back and forth between games at this point, but Ladd at plus 165 to a market average here. Fair value of plus 153, deviating to Penny. Let me actually see what we can do for these DVIG books here. Let's add some FanDuel out of curiosity. Let's go back to my filters. I want to do a little bit of a filtering to FanDuel here. So DVIG book, I have bookmaker optional. I'll do FanDuel optional as well. We're sticking with quarter Kelly. Let's see what we can get from this, if that still stays relevant. And it actually still is here, 4.9%. Let's see here. Only still DVing to Penny though. Okay, but target share, Keenan Allen, 10 targets, even though he was kind of the ghost of Keenan Allen. Ladd with 9. Quentin Johnson, of course, went at. McConkey, anytime TD, we're seeing it right here at DK at plus 165. FanDuel down to 146, Profit X and Novig. So this is the best price in the market. I'm going to go ahead and put Ladd anytime. It's actually 160 though at DraftKings. That's a big difference here. I don't know if that just moved or the odds were slow here because clicking on that, looking on my phone here, I'm seeing plus 160. Yeah, lose some value there, not at the 165 number. So it's not the same kind of bet there. But I want to build out some of these lays for some of these boosts. Now we'll build them out like on my phone here. But for a prop that I already played, yeah, got it at 160. I mean, it still is a decent price, so I'm not deterred by that. Still better than fair with a DVig. But at the same time, I would have liked it a lot more at the 150, the 165 number for obvious reasons there. But player props here, we can okay, this is what I'm looking for. This is great. But I actually bet where is he here? Let's go to Justin Herbert because I bet Herbert over passing touchdowns. Was minus 60 not the scoring circa when I grabbed it. All right, so that's good process right there if that's the case. Absolutely love that. But I bet on Mr. Herbert over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I bet this actually on stream on Monday. It looks like we did see some movement because I got this at minus 105 at MGM. It's up to minus 140, which is definitely unfortunate. But Novig showing the best price. DK with the 146, so that's still going to be better than where's FD here? I'm not even seeing FanDuel. There, 152. I like Herbert to go off again. I know that's kind of seems probably like a square take because of how they played that game. And I talked about it ad nauseum last week with how week one, you have so much time to prepare. And there's a lot of often instances where it's like a very distinct game plan for how you're going against a certain team. But in Herbert's case, I think it's just like with the O-line, how they had to remake it. I think they're just going to let him sling it as they should because Herbert's a freaking stud. But passing touchdowns here, I'm seeing 2+ at 142, which checks out. I'm looking to build a lay here, so let's add that to the first slip. If we see, like now I want to add Ladd because like I do like Ladd and we did see some EV, but that's going to pay some correlation tax. But the Buccaneers Texans, back to rushing yards for CJ Stroud. Let's get him going. Building my slip on my phone because I've mentioned it a bunch of times. My always have location problems whenever I'm building on stream. I want to see Stroud rushing yards here. Faust had a great price that he got earlier here, and I know we're betting like right before game time, so it's going to be tough to, get some of the stuff that we want from an EV perspective. Where are rush yards? Am I blind here? Rush yards, beautiful. 13.5. He got 12.5 minus 110 earlier. 13.5 here, minus 117 on DK. 15+ is minus 103, so probably not better, but we're boosting. And this is the odds movement courtesy of Outlier of where we went on this price. 9.5 shot all the way up, and now we're kind of buying toward the high here, and of course the most efficient in the market as we're this close to game time. But overall rushing share, rushing attempts, CJ had 5 of those, and they were absolutely not winning that game, so it's not like there's any kneel downs in there. Chubb with 13. I don't know how much success they're going to have running on Tampa. I mean, this is a tough one, but let's see. Rush attempts, we can SGP. Chubb that's only overs though, of course. Over unders, you cannot SGP, but that's Faust. What was the price on that? Because I'm seeing 14.5 rush attempts for Chubb, minus 116, which isn't ideal, but depending on price, that could actually be a good look. Let's go to alternate lines here. Under 14.5, minus 101, minus 110 at MGM. I said that minus 116 at FanDuel. Can't minus 105. All right, so you made a great bet there. Maybe under was minus 105. So maybe it's a tough one here. Let's look at Profit X's liquidity. We'll pull it up, but I'm seeing 14.5s now at as you see here at some 110. I don't know if the what the math is there, if that 5 cents really makes a big difference for the 1 yard. I don't know what the exact EV actually on that is. But here we have Chubb. Not a lot of liquidity, unfortunately, on profit here for this, unfortunately. Um, Only $10.10 on profit. Once we get to like minus 120 range, now we're seeing some more liquidity on these numbers. But let's go back to outlier here. And if we go to MGM, if that's still minus 110 or even on FanDuel, this would actually be a really nice bet. Let's see what MGM has. Or 14 and a half minus 110. All right. And that's saying it's also telling me that FanDuel here is minus 114. So I know I can't SGP that, but if this could be a good straight bet, 14 and a half minus 114. Let's lock this in here. This under 14 and a half minus 110 for Nick Chubb rush attempts. I think it's going to be difficult for anything to happen on offense for the Texans. I saw like the Tampa Bay defense is like a world beater defense. But with that being said, I'm not seeing it. Chubb plays kind of against you. But the thing is, I still like the process, right? Like I know that he got the 13 attempts. And maybe yeah, bro, it's all in the game, having lines go against, we saw it and we see what happens. Small sample sizes. Like I had the Patriots game go against me big time. I was on any big, but that happened to be a W though. That could have easily flip flopped. It's all in the game here, of course. But no, I think this Chubb under 14 and a half, I actually do like. Considering where the market is at, again, profit at 101. I know it moved up a number, but I think we're actually getting this at a high. It's been continuously going up. But the fact that the under is where it's at, and if you go switch back to the over here, only plus money at 105 to the sharper books. I'm definitely looking at the under here. So first straight bet locked in. The Herbert one we bet on Wednesday on stream. So if you guys are here, hopefully you guys are holding that ticket with me. But unfortunately at this point, it's not playable. It's all right, brother. Not many are, and guess what? It gives you some stuff to work toward, adding some more liquidity to that market. These parlay odds just moved in my DraftKings slip. What I don't know what's going on here. It didn't move, but all right. So right now, Ladd touchdown, Herbert two plus passing tutties, and if we go back to the Buccaneers Texans game, let's see what his rush yards are. I'm not ready to say that Chubb is like entirely washed just because maybe there's some like a little bit of Nick Chubb bias here. We know he's like a Superman. We know what Nick Chubb can do. But he also obviously coming off massive injuries and is older at this point in his career. But he had those 16 rushing yards, 6D on 13 carries, which is actually solid. And he was the bell cow. Like they said he would be the bell cow when they did give him that love. We saw Dameon Pierce do well in the kicking game there. Woody Marks, you'd like to see them utilize. I mean, they traded up in the draft for him. Like maybe like they see him practice the most, and maybe they do just think he stinks, and maybe he does just stink, and that's the unfortunate reality of the Woody Marks story. But hopefully, we would see from like even a fan perspective. Hopefully, there is a situation where Woody does get involved. But a Chubb touchdown, I'm not like the Buccaneers. Now they have a big. As you see here, 2 touchdowns against, but this was just this season, right? Okay, so Outlier has like switched their metrics to this year. When we're looking on Wednesday, it was still showing 2024 data, which of course has its benefits. But red zone rush attempt was 1-1. They brought Pierce in, but I feel like if they're gonna have Chubb run the entire through him from a running game perspective, I don't know if it's plus 120. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I didn't look at the odds yet. I was kind of just giving I was ready to make a thought on I should say my thoughts on what the commentary could be depending on the odds, but the odds being plus 120 definitely make a lot more sense. And I don't think like Pierce getting that one rush attempt is like a sticky thing that I would like bet on. We have Ibuka, Schultz, Jaden Higgins didn't get enough time. I shouldn't go back to this here. I want to go to let's go to a receiver because I want to see kind of what the target breakdown is because it wasn't good for some of the Texans rookies receivers. There was a big opportunity with, of course, Kirk being out, and there wasn't what we would expect from a. See, come on. This is what I. All right, let's do here. Let me pull up Nico. I just want to look at the route tree here. I'm a little bit concerned for Nico from like a fantasy perspective overall. Like, I just think this Texans offense might just be abysmal, and it's going to be tough to get in. Look at these market movements here. He got bet up high, then got bet right back down there. But back to the target. So 5 for Nico, 5 for Dalton, 4 for Stover, but he broke his foot. So that's worth noting because if Stover is because like who's gonna take place of some of those 5 targets they just got there. You see the foot fracture for Cade Stover, of course, Irv Smith, another tight end. Xavier Hutchinson got 2 targets, Noel 2, Dare out of the backfield. Higgins had those 3 targets. It's not like the Buccaneers defensive backs are anything like worth noting here, but I just don't know how much time Stroud's gonna have in that pocket to like process and make things happen down the field here. Again, data is only for 1 game, though. NFL data is really always never sticky because there's such small sample sizes. Only had 1 red zone target, and of course, they're targeting Nico, which is, naturally, how are you not going to target your best player down there? And back to FanDuel, actually looking at 2 30% profit boost tokens to use. So, sticking to those 2 books for now, I'm going to go back to the games here, and let's kind of build it out this way. So for this one, we'll look at some first touchdown scores. I'm just curious, most passing yards. Baker, minus 118 there. First team reception, no. Most receiving yards. Nico the chalk. Mike second. So giving it really to the 2 main big guys there, which I'm not really surprised by. Bucky Irvin, 45-1. I mean, let Bucky run wild in the receiving game. Let's look at his records from last year. He did have some massive receiving games, didn't he? I mean, 77 is not massive, but for RB, that's awesome. That's just a fun little check there. Most rushing yards, of course, Bucky the chalk. Chubb right behind him. Getting those attempts would make sense. Rashad White, CJ Stroud. So this one's not like how we hit that most rushing yards with Jordan Mason last week. Unfortunately, not going to be there this week. But some first tutties here. Bucky, Nico, Chubb best price there. Mike Evans, 850. Egbuka. I'm interested in Schultz with some of the targets that it's going to get. The Tampa Bay linebacker core outside of course, Levante David, I'm a little bit concerned by. Let's look at the odds here. DK 13-1, Novig best price. Let's pull this up and look at some liquidity at Novig. But this could be something that I'm just playing on DK, but we do have the profit boosts. Good amount of liquidity, $161. I mean, if you're not realistically, I don't think anybody here would be betting a lot more than $100 on a first touchdown. So maybe one person can scrape that up here, but I'm actually locking in Schultz first touchdown on DraftKings here at 13-1. So I'm going to clear my slip. We'll get some lays going, but we're going to bet one from each side for fun, just so we can have those sweats going. We'll have both games, one from both sides. Again, don't be putting too much money on any first touchdown bets or these parlays, but we are locking in Schultz first touchdown on the Houston side. And on the Tampa Bay side, let's go back to the games tab here. First touchdown from the Tampa Bay side. Now this could be that's first team touchdown. First TD, Bucky 6.5-1. Mike at 850. Like, I know they're going to target Mike. Egbuka at 10-1 here. That's Caesars. Novik down to 953. So I could definitely bet that at Caesars for first touchdown. I feel like it could be as simple as Bucky. I don't really want to bet them at that price. We don't have to force a bet here on this first touchdown, but it would be a fun one. I don't really have such a strong opinion. Now, it would be very let's look at 2024. Red zone share. Yeah, he wasn't doing it. I was thinking it would be interesting if he just came out of the woodwork basically and started getting rushing attempts here. I don't want last 5, I want 2025. Absolutely no burn there, which is makes sense. It's been the Bucky show, which not surprised by. I do think Schultz because of how they use Stover. I know Schultz was playing a lot of the time on that field, but I think they're going to have to be targeting him more to take some pressure off Nico. But for first touchdown, like Ibuka looking like the best look there for a Buccaneer. I know he's got the 2 tutties on the year. The rookie, actually maybe Kate Otten. This is a really good defense for the Texans. Let's see, not that any of this really matters. I don't know how much Otten played last week though. That's kind of more what I'm thinking here. Let's pull up some Otten stuff. So I want to make sure we're getting targeting guys, so we're getting the targets. Like 2.5 receptions. What was his target? Like 3 targets. That is wide receiver. Nah, it's I'm talking myself into some nothing there. But Sterling Shepard, why are we just ignoring Sterling if he's getting all those targets? I mean, the Baker Mayfield has proven, let's see, 2.5. Like he is gonna ball and do well even with not so great cast of characters. We know how much time Godwin missed. We know Evans missed some time last year. They had some games where they had some really bad receiving cores, but the Texans, or excuse me, the Buccaneers still figured it out. So 3 receptions on 6 targets last week for him in the red zone. Only 1 red zone opportunity, and it was a target to Bucky, which again, it could just be the chalk there. The touchdowns to Egbuka were from a little bit down. Wide receivers versus Houston, tight ends, no catches for Higbee. But he's obviously not a big part of that offense where Puka Nacua is that dude. It's just curiosity. I do like this feature a lot, so you could see like how guys played. But again, this is more of an indictment of how bad the Texans O-line is and how bad this offense probably is going to be over anything else. These are some insights on that line. This is always fun. Some first quarter stuff. This is some more hit rate stuff, but always nice thing to look at. But what's a Baker first touchdown? It was passing TD is 1 point over 1.5. So that flashed for me in Brazil, Faust. He went over that number. Like this is again where like I'm always gonna click something on the screen that is showing me some EV, regardless of what I'm thinking. Because I clicked that last week where I saw some value. I think it was plus 120 actually last week for under 5.5 receptions for Lad. I took that. He obviously went over that big time. So I'm not saying to dissuade you because again, like you, I'm clicking something when I see something good like that, especially at like an MGM. But that kind of comes down to if you want to like play some devil's advocate with yourself of how you believe that this offense is going to roll with the Chargers there. And I don't think it was really just like, okay, like we have this great game plan for the Chiefs. We think the receivers are or the corners are washed. We're just going to throw it for this one and then go back to what we do as Chargers. I hope that is the sign that they like really have just shifted philosophy. Greg Roman and Harbaugh, and Herbert is dealing. And Lad's obviously going to be the guy to take advantage of that there. But I want to pull up this EV details here. Penny even money, 108 at FanDuel, 106, 106. Of course, it's priced at Novig here. Let's pull that up. Fliff plus 115 if anybody has Fliff. See what some of the liquidity is here. Plus 112. No liquidity really. Plus 106. Where we see at FanDuel? Plus 108. I kind of like this. I think this is actually like worth a straight. I'm going to go look at FanDuel quickly because again, I want to build some stuff, but I like Baker 2+ passing TDs. And if we're going to go to, I do want to check his first touchdown. We're seeing some movement in FanDuel. I hate how they put up some of their interface on FanDuel. Egbuka first touchdown just dropped some odds on FanDuel. Baker is 35-1 for first touchdown. Interesting. That's a good note there. That's a very interesting note there. All right, so I'm just curious. He only had 1 touchdown last year. He had 3. Okay, they all came early. We know Baker likes to get out of there and scramble a little bit. I just want to look at the stats from last year for Baker on like some scrambling stuff. I wish you could filter right back to 2024 here, just so you could see. Of course, you could see it up here, but 1 red zone attempt, 1. So if they are, he is it's not sticky enough. They're going to try to hand the ball off. I know they're not running like designed runs for Baker. Don't let me, let me make that clear. I don't think like Baker is like a weapon like that. It's more of like the pocket collapses. He decides to get out and do something crazy. FanDuel best price in the market here though for Baker anytime. We have seen a bunch of quarterbacks scoring early, so I don't know if that's a recency bias thing. But 9 to 1 is like definitely intriguing, especially considering how it's priced against Novig, DraftKings, and Profit. I'm gonna take the leap of faith there and do though the first touchdown at 35 to 1. Let me just make sure that we're getting the best odds here for any book. But I'm going with Baker Mayfield. 4 to 1 at 365 here. Let's see, 35 to 1 though at FanDuel. If you have a B365 account, again, don't get me wrong, these are for absolute fun, just because we want to sweat this game. Some first touchdowns. We have Schultz on one side, Baker on the other side. As far as straight bets goes, we have Chubb under 14.5 rushing attempts, and we have Herbert over 1.5 passing touchdowns for game 2. So we do have some good fun straight bets that we want to play, but we are just also, getting some fun stuff going for the first touchdowns. Now building out a slip here. If we have these two games, which I love doing, I think Chubb to score a touchdown is so live. I hate that it's plus 115, but I could also see this game being like a rock fight. So I'm definitely confused a little bit here on like not the anything that I'm seeing particularly, but kind of how I want to approach this one. Of course, we can always bet some unders here, but like, what's Stroud? Let's go back to his passing yards here. Stroud. 230.5. Okay. As high as 234.5 at Hard Rock. 233.5. I think this offense could be broken. Now, this offense is nowhere, or this defense is nowhere near as good as the defense for LA. And the pass rush is not the same. We saw a massive jump there. That's probably an accident. I couldn't imagine it just moving 3 yards like that. Okay, this makes a lot more sense here. But sitting around, would be selling toward the top of the market. But like Foss has mentioned, market's slowly moving incrementally toward the over. But I guess that's just for Lad himself there. Let's see. So passing yards, because again, we have the booster. We're going to be getting some EV regardless of what we do if we compound it correctly. But we can go right to the EV screen, honestly. We just put together some legs directly from here. We could also filter. We could look at some game lines as well and see if there's any like first quarter or anything like low key we can get in on. But this is actually going to all the games here. I don't want to do that. Let's quickly change the date range and just do it for today, just so we get something. We're seeing some EV on the spreads, slow percentages here. But that's all for the next game. So I'm not shocked to see that whatsoever realistically. Let's go back to some props here and see what we can find some value on. So we could do a combo of both games. Don't get me wrong. Don't need to focus in on one. Lad touchdown still showing some EV, though that number is obviously dropped. So let's do a little Lad touchdown. We already looked at that in some good detail. It's still available there. Mostly everything for the next game. Wow, nothing for this current game, which I think is funny. Let me just make sure my filters are set properly at any time. Okay, so really not showing anything for this first game from an EV standpoint. Texas money line moving. Which direction? Let's I can pull it up here, but I remember seeing that Texans were anticipated to be like a sharper play of this week. So if that really is what's holding true, I'm not going to be shocked about that at all. Let's see. Texas money line moving. Let me pull that up here. Get a little distraction. There we go. Click it here. And let's see. Let's didn't mean to do that. Let's get rid of some of these books just so we could clear up this. It's always nice to see how the books are moving, but I am curious. Um, Good split between Kalshi and Pinnacle there, but as you can see, 632. There was a little bit of line movement for Texans and able to get 130 at Fanatics. That seems like a great price considering the market now is at 35. All right, Lad McConkey touchdown. We'll go back to EV quickly here. She could definitely score. Lad, here you go. Here's your Lad under receptions. Is showcasing right here as well. Lighting up on B3, MGM. But I don't really think I love that. I got burnt by it last week. No vig and profit with big liquidity on opposite sides. This brings up a whole other conversation about like who's manipulating the market. And I don't mean that in like a negative sense. I just mean that in the sense of like who is like there could be conflicting opinions entirely, which is very possible in efficient markets like this, or it could be trying to sway the market one way, move it back the other. That also, of course, happens in sports betting frequently, especially on some big markets. Try to do some head fakes or whatnot there. But Geno passing yards under. I love myself some Geno Smith. I'm not gonna lie, but let's see. It's at 247.5 at DraftKings. On FanDuel. Something I can also do as well. I'll build them out on here, but I'll actually take this up on my phone so I don't have to log in because, again, the location nonsense. Let me clear this bet slip here. Don't need that. Let's just pull up DK here. Penny line on that money line, seemingly safe with the lowest hold. That is definitely important to note. Absolutely having the lowest hold there. But let's build out a slip here. So we have Lad. And I'll pull up FanDuel as well, just so we can go side by side, compare prices here. So FanDuel one tab, DraftKings the other tab, and I'll use the boost on my phone to finalize those. So we'll build out both of these, but like these are the bases of these lays. Want to go back to this Tampa Bay game though. Looks like the EV for my filters at least are just not showing EV, except for Baker over 1.5 TD passes here. We do have a Baker touchdown here, but let's see. Passing props, passing TDs. Baker Mayfield. Okay, so that's a start to the lay. We'll also build it out here though. I don't think that we're going to get a better price, unfortunately. Passing props, Mayfield 2+, yeah, based on what the odds are going to be. But you never know because there are often times where the legs are just, it really just doesn't make sense to me, honestly. I kind of like a Stroud fade here. I'm not going to lie to you. Also kind of like a Jacoby Myers fade. Let's look at some of the metrics for. He had the 10 targets in that one game, 8 for Brock Bowers, who of course left hurt, so they kind of force-fed him. Michael Mayer expected to do some backup stuff. It really was a great game from Geno, but we're starting to see more about really how bad the Patriots linebacking core is. We saw it really in detail against Miami. We saw what Achane did to this team. We saw a bunch of the other, really struggling to tackle. Two of their linebackers are the highest in the league in missed tackles so far. That's more of like a Bowers stat per se. But what are some of these things? So Bowers is at 51.5. Now this does seem so freaking low, but I know he's coming off an injury, and like I mentioned, it's a much different matchup because of how bad those linebackers are for New England. But obviously Bowers is like that kind of dude. Receptions are dropping there. I don't think Bowers out of nowhere is like not going to be like a great. I mean, obviously Bowers is a freaking stud. Nobody's debating that, but wondering like how much of a funnel he's going to be here and like how much they're going to like focus on him. And so some of these props on FanDuel here for zoom out a little bit here so I can see more in my view. Receptions, Lads at 5.5 plus 112. Bowers at under 5.5 is minus 142. So there's definitely pricing in some potential lack of, I don't want to say lack of interest. That's not the right way to go about it, but potential like limitation maybe for Bowers. Thornton, Conklin, Ashton, Genty 2.5. Let me pull up Genty actually quickly here on Outlier because He did get 2 targets. Um, Receiving yards, oh, those are receptions, excuse me, I was gonna say. So receiving yards are 5.5, I'd smash that. They're 15.5. I don't know how good Ashton Genty is, unfortunately. I was kind of on that train. I did give out in the preseason show that I did one of them, Ashton Genty under, like, it was like 1,079 or something like that, rushing yards to start the year, for, of course, the entire season. Not gonna victory lap that after one game, of course, but I am starting to be a little bit nervous about how good Genty truly is, and maybe he just like shits on me tonight. Quentin Johnston over 3.5 receptions. I love this, especially if they stick to what they did. 7 targets. He's probably due to drop one of them. But let me see. What's the pricing? FanDuel minus 122. DraftKings. What's their line? They only hanging a 4.5. I doubt it. Plus 170, 3.5. I probably missed it there. Let's add that both because I'm in on Johnston today. I think he's actually a good football player. He gets so open, he's so athletic, and he does make things happen with the ball in his hands. He just has to catch the ball. And I think he is due for a drop or two a game, unfortunately. And like this is a tough thing to ask for. I'm looking over at a DK right now. Let's see what the price comparisons are for these two plays here. Quentin Johnston, 4+ is minus 126. 852. So these legs are better priced on FanDuel, but the total parlay so far is better priced over on DraftKings, which is just something to make sure that you're doing like when you're line shopping here and creating some of this stuff. So 852. So that's the clear leader in the market, especially when we have a bigger boost for that. And we have the FanDuel boosts for straight bets we can use. So we'll probably revert to that. But last leg here, I kind of like Stroud rushing. I think he's going to have to do. We've seen the quarterbacks, like, kind of putting their teams on their back. We saw there was some good movement in the market there. We have Chubb fade for the straight bet on the under, and we have a good pass rush on the way. I don't think he played Tampa last year. Not that it really particularly matters, but they're just so bad with their current talent levels, unfortunately. Let's compare some pricing here. So we're going to go to rushing props. Rushing yards, he just judged 13.5, 112. Let's go back to DK over here and do some rushing props as well. For Stroud, let's see, they're putting him at 15 plus minus 103. But if we go to this over under here, 13.5 minus 113. So basically same price, but let's go. We have this parlay is plus 1742, and on FanDuel it is plus 1271. So with the boost, it's really not a debate. Let me build this out on my phone quickly. It's going to be taken at DraftKings. So Ryan McConkey anytime. Receiving props, Quentin Johnston, 4+. We're going to switch on over back to the first game. We're doing 2 legs in each game, which is always going to be fun here. Baker passing touchdowns, 2+, and CJ Stroud rushing yards over 13.5. Now that we're going to apply the boosts, I have the Monday night 25% same game parlay boost. We add that plus 2178 there. What's my max bet there? 10 bones. In for 10 bones on this parlay. I have that 4-legger. So now I'm curious. Let me just build this on my phone quickly because I thought it was going to be for any of them, but I guess it has to be an SGP only. Let me just add 2 more legs to that Lad and Quentin just to see what that is here. Adding 2 random legs just to see if I get that boost. No, I think that boost unfortunately was just for Sunday. Now I'm screwed, which doesn't really make a difference, unfortunately. Or maybe I used it. I guess I probably used it realistically on stream yesterday. Let's go back to Outlier. My bad, boys. Got that slip going. Beautiful. And I know the game starts at 7. I'll go for a little bit more just because we have this other game because we haven't even talked about it at all. But I think I'm tapped at, or I should say 4 that first one. Like, I'm not in the business of forcing. Like, we have a straight bet that we have bet. We'll try to look to find some EV for the second game as well. But like, all in all, obviously on stream we want to, get some bets, get some good sweats in. But I don't know. I'm really not in love with anything. I don't have a side. Gun to heading me. Give me Tampa Bay. I don't care if the Texans are the sharp side, like they probably are. Give me the Buccaneers and give me an under there. Najee Harris touchdown on Profit X. I like this. If you go to some rush share stuff, Omar and Hampton was the dominant back there, and Najee didn't really play much at all. But we knew he was dealing with that injury to his eye, which is, of course, a massive injury to keep up with. I don't know. We're seeing EV, of course, which is like something that like we can't ignore per se. Fair value being 284 to penny. I'll pull a profit and see some liquidity here because again, it's nice to see what's going on, but until we see the liquidity, okay, so there's a lot of liquidity, as you see here, plus $2,368 in liquidity. So that's probably a good place to start there. I just don't know from like a ball knowing confidence perspective how I don't want to say like excited I am per se, but just like how much I do think he's going to get those looks there. Like I love when the ball knowledge and the I don't want to say like the lean, but like the projection and the EV are all in like one combination there. But I'm already seeing something I like here. Herbert over 16.5 rushing yards. I don't think Herbert running for 32 was an anomaly whatsoever or a fluke. Herbert is a freak athlete, and look at the way the market has moved. I think that's actually I like this. Hold on. So let me build out some stuff here on FanDuel because this is going to be the first leg of a new bet because I'm all in on Herbert rushing yards. 16.5 minus 112. It's on that bet slip. What's his alternate lines actually? Like what is 30 plus? It's 3-1. Obviously, he did that last week just by 2. We can expect probably some kneel downs as well. I don't think that that's really like a fluke by any means. Like we know he has that capability. If you go back to last year, a couple of big rushing games, and he was hurt for a lot of last year. People forget that. When you don't like plantar fasciitis or however you pronounce it, it's like a really big thing to deal with in your foot. That's going to affect you. I'm actually going to use one of my boosts right now on Herbert 30 plus rushing yards. What's that at DraftKings? Out of curiosity, they don't even have that. Are you kidding me? Let me confirm that here. Could just be a line getting error on some alternate lines that probably not many squares like me are looking to bet there. No, they just don't. They have 25 plus at 71. So actually, I'm curious what that is in comparison. Alt lines. Still FanDuel the best price 194, but I'm going for the big swing here with the 30% boost. 30 plus rushing yards with one of the 30% boost because it's a plus 390, which is definitely going to be the best price in the market there. I don't think that, or I should say that I am confident that Herbert, that was not a fluke last game. He's going to run the football like that. He's such a good athlete. They're going to want him to get on space. Of course, it's a game where every team wants to win every game they play, but I'm in on that. I'm absolutely in on that, like big time. Low hit rate last year, but again, that with plantar fasciitis, hit that in the first game. That's not really the thought there. I just do think that they rely on him to run it more. I know he's very capable. He's an awesome athlete. Hampton. Now we could go with the rookies here. A Jeffrey Hampton touchdown parlay there. I'm curious what that would pay out. Let's add those both to the slips here. Let's go over to FanDuel. Those odds move, but I'm not really concerned by that at all. Let's see what the rookie running back TD lay is. Plus 246. That's funny. Have a boost though. I'm not really thinking about using this. I'm just curious to compare odds between both books here. Let's go to TD scores. Hampton and Genty, 276. So better odds on DK. Once again, worth noting, even though the odds are worse of the singles of the straight bets, they're better on the parlay, which is just odd. Let's go to the first touchdown. So from a game perspective, I actually make this game, like I do my numbers for the NFL spreads every single week. I don't think that this is going to come off oddly, but let me explain. I don't think it takes a lot of real brain knowledge to come up with NFL spreads because of how efficient the markets are. With that being said, to find an edge and to really beat the markets, and when you have a big time line discrepancy like I have here, which is I have the Raiders only as 1.5 point dogs, I don't blindly bet my numbers because I know what I put into it. That's not what I'm saying. But in other cases, when I'm right on the market, it's because of how efficient the market is, where you could ask your buddy who just watches NFL and doesn't really gamble, or even somebody who doesn't watch that much, but is at least in tune, play some fantasy. If you ask them to list all the spreads of what they think the game should be for the week, they're going to get a couple of them on number because of how efficient the NFL is. So I'm not saying to blindly bet based on lack of building out a robust model with accounting for everything you need to account for. Absolutely, that is difficult to do and beyond difficult. And if it was easy, everybody would do it. But I am saying that you can get your numbers to a point where without a lot of effort, you can get right on market. If you're really off market, do not bet that because you just don't have an edge. But all that to say is I do actually think it is a good bet on the Raiders today, but I don't know how much I should be upgrading the Chargers, and I probably have not upgraded them enough is basically the sum moral of my story there. My first team. First overall tutty. Hampton leading the way at 550 to 1, or 5.5 to 1 plus 550, excuse me. Obviously a big boost there. Ladd 9 to 1, Bowers 12 to 1, Myers 11 to 1, Keenan Johnston 14 to 1, Trey Tucker, Herbert with that 3 to 1 or 30 to 1. Let's pull up Herbert here. I'm in love with his rushing ability. ESPN best odds, FanDuel 27 to 1, DK 25 to 1. I did bet, like I mentioned earlier, Herbert passing TDs. We bet that on Wednesday. So if you guys are here Wednesday, you guys are sweating that out with me. But again, a tough build here at this point in the week here with what's going on. Chargers, Raiders. I do think Las Vegas is a little bit better than anticipated. But again, I'm seeing EV on Geno Smith unders. Najee touchdown, Geno Smith others, Ladd touchdown. We already bet that. And this game has more potential for a bigger throwing game. But Herbert's at 259.5. So that's already basically like long gone. Most passing yards, Herbert's minus 146. Geno Smith INT 115, Herbert INT plus 134. That makes sense. So I saw this here under INT for Geno. Can't SGP that, but minus 113, plus 106 at profit. That's actually a really good price. As you see from an EV perspective, DVigging 2, Penny and Bookmaker. Add FanDuel in that. Still showing 3.18% EV, which is interesting. Absolutely. Game specials passing. No, I don't want anything to do with that. Rushing props, Hampton. Genty. I kind of want to fade Genty again. Let's pull him up here. Ashton Genty. I kind of want to fade Genty and back Hampton. Let's go to his rushing yards here. Genty touched the rock a crazy amount. 19 rush attempts. Zamir White barely spilling them. They want to rely on him. Geno was having success all over the field, but we saw how, how bad the linebackers are for the Patriots in that first week. I love this under. I'm going too high there. DraftKings under 67.5. Price at FanDuel 66.5. But I have the boost on FanDuel. I'm actually betting under on Genty and Omarion Hampton. I kind of like his over. 13.5 receiving yards. How many targets did he get? 2 targets, 2 catches. Okay. But let's go to his rushing yards. I know the film guys were saying that he looked bad last week with his like rushing yards over expected, 48 rushing yards total. I guess the Chiefs defense, I did do a good job of shutting down Saquon in retrospect after the fact. But I think Hampton, 15 rush attempts there. I like the over on Hampton, the under on Genty to start off this slip here. What if we did? I'm just building this out for fun here. What Hampton over rush yards, Genty under, but both of them to score a touchdown only gets you to 936 on FanDuel, which just seems light, man. Their pricing this season, especially when it comes to parlays, it just seems to be so light. Let's go up a yard here. I want to pull up DraftKings because I want to build that on DK just to show you. That does not seem like it should be plus 936 at all. Let's just do this quickly here. We'll pull up DK. I want to just build that quickly. This is just pure science at this point, honestly. All right, we can keep those legs in. Back to SGP. Rushing props. Genty under. Hampton over 850. So actually a better price on FanDuel. I'm not playing that. That was just out of curiosity here. I do want to use this boost on something, but I think for a touchdown, like Brock Bowers at 2-1, Johnson at plus 240. Like he absolutely cooked the Chiefs, like wide ass open. Probably should have had a 3-piece. I'm a big Johnson guy, and I guess I'm using my touchdown boost on Quentin Johnson anytime. That's a plus 312. I'm all in on Johnston. I think that he has displayed the kind of like the talent that we know he has. I'm glad to see him have the success he's had down in Brazil. Maybe he's just a Southern Hemisphere merchant. Like that's not out of the equation either. But at the same time, I think that's a good look there. Amari and Hampton, Quentin Johnston first anytime touchdown with the boost here. Let's go to some first touchdowns and kind of finish off here. We know we got 3 minutes before the first game starts. So let's look at some first TD score. Hampton with the chalk, Genty also the chalk. This is 852. Let's see how much liquidity Novik has here. I'm not Genty because I am intrigued by not Ashton Genty. I'm a Genty hater, man. 2K. I love that. My 852. You want to see one get through the board today? Get off of Ashton Genty. I'm all for feeding Ashton Genty today. First TD score. You of course have like the either or markets and whatnot, but I don't really want to play around with those. I kind of just want to stick to the scripts here. See, guys like Trey Harris and Lambert Smith, they only had one target each last week, right? Like this still is an offense that is funneling through like the main players that they have being Keenan, Ladd, Hampton now becoming one of them, Quentin Johnston. But Keenan had such a great target share last week that this 15-1 seems like off. Let's pull up ESPN and just confirm that pricing there. ESPN I saw last week, or actually yesterday, frequently had the best pricing on first touchdowns. We could definitely be utilized to boost on ESPN on streams moving forward. It is in my state. I'm in NY, so unfortunately, a pretty limited betting menu. But just to confirm this pricing here, TD scores, first tutty. I like this, man. I like this. We'll bet a Raider for the shits and gigs. I'm definitely not betting Ashton Genty. But let's go back to Outlier here. And if you guys are not using Outlier yet, they have a 7-day free trial. You can scan the QR code in the top right corner, or I'm going to actually post a link right now underneath the stream just so you guys can utilize it because it's really an amazing tool. As you can see, all the real-time data of Outlier, real-time odds data, positive EV, player prop research, game line research, very advanced data as well. Because some of these like charts look great. They have injury reports, insights. It's not entirely 110% up to date, but It does do a great job of getting the speed. It's up to date, as in like everything is accurate, but some of the speed could is definitely something great to look at there. With Keenan Allen, 15-1. That's the first touchdown for this one. If we're gonna go with another player for a first TD, we're gonna go to the Raiders side. And I kind of just want to bet this Bowers, man. Like he's so damn good. I know he's banged up and whatnot, but I'm all in on Bowers. I'm betting him on my phone. DraftKings 12-1 best price. Brock Bowers. We have ESPN locked in for Keenan Allen first touchdown, and now Brock Bowers. Hopefully, we stay away from some of the chalk. Genty is not scoring that first touchdown. That's if he does, I'll eat my words. I haven't betted at Novig just yet, but I don't think it's going to be Genty. I think Genty, I don't want to say stinks, but I don't think he's good. So we have, again, for the first game that's starting right now, if you guys want to get in live, if you didn't get in, we have Nick Chubb under 14.5 rushing attempts. We also have Dalton Schultz and Baker first touchdown. And in a parlay, we have Baker 2+ touchdowns and Stroud over 13.5 rushing yards with Ladd anytime and Quentin Johnston 4+ receptions. But that's going to wrap it up. We have, games are starting. We have a bunch of bets in for the second game. We have Johnston anytime touchdown. We have Herbert 30+ rush yards boosted to +390 on FanDuel. Johnston anytime boosted to +312 on FanDuel. Bowers first touchdown on DK 12-1, and Keenan Allen first touchdown on ESPN 15-1. I also bet Herbert 2+ passing touchdowns, but that moved a little bit too much, unfortunately, to give out. The current price is not great. But thank you everybody for tuning in. It's been a really fun stream. Tomorrow's Tuesday, so night stream, but we'll definitely be back with Outlier on Wednesday. Best of luck with your bets today, and